Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 221226.8. With Moistmas over, I have left the holodeck and shall now go on a little R&R in the shuttle pod. The crew are hereby ordered to tear down all Christmas decorations, or my judges will simply beat them up. Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. I'm going to apologise in advance for this lazier visual format. I figured with the month of Merry Moistmas, Meggy, Merry, Mythically Meaty, Monstrously Magically Moistmas, yes, I needed to rest ever so slightly because my eyes were starting to strain, alright? We put in a lot of effort and thank you everyone that has supported. To start off this video, we're going to start with Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, aka Hobbs, aka that guy in Jumanji. Oh, he's also Black Adam. I don't know if anyone knew that. The movie was a bit of a commercial flop, to be honest. But, can anyone say it wasn't going to be next to the Marvel engine, even with that flailing about during Phase 4? Black Adam is hardly the biggest of characters, and when you spend 15 years making a movie only for the movie to make 400 million-ish, the movie's not done that well. But Dwayne can be very proud of the fact he got to make the movie. There's much discussion now that Dwayne's star power is going to start dwindling because normally, when he's associated with a project, the project does well. I of course don't want that to be the case because I like Dwayne Johnson. But with the shake-up at DC, many of the characters we've already spoken about last week are gone. Even with one of them, Henry Cavill, making an appearance in Black Adam at the behest of Dwayne Johnson. He wanted it, because a film with Superman and Black Adam would actually pop. And as is custom in many movies, much like in real life with his own contractual requirements, Dwayne Johnson wouldn't lose anyway, because Black Adam usually beats Superman. As long as he uses the people's elbow, I'm okay with it. The future of Black Adam was up in the air for a little while, not only because of the nature of the success, or lack thereof when it came to the movie itself, but also because of Peter Safran and James Gunn taking over at DCU. I think it's DC United, was it DC Studios? Oh no, DC United is that soccer team that Wayne Rooney manages while telling him about his micro-penis. Anyway, via Dwayne Johnson's Twitter, which I saw in an article on Laney Gossip, we'll get to that soon, don't worry, Dwayne Johnson tweeted out 2 images. My passionate friends, I wanted to give you a long-awaited Black Adam update regarding the character's future in the new DC universe. James Gunn and I connected, and Black Adam will not be in their first chapter of storytelling. However, DC and $7 have agreed to continue exploring the most valuable ways Black Adam can be utilized in future DC multiverse chapters. James Gunn and I have known each other for years, and have always rooted for each other to succeed. It's no different now, and I will always root for DC and Marvel to win and win big. You guys know me, and I have very thick skin, and you can always count on me to be direct with my words. These decisions made by James Gunn and DC leadership represent their visions for DCU through their creative lens. After 15 years of relentless hard work to finally make Black Adam, I am very proud of the film we delivered for fans worldwide. I will always look back on the fan reaction to Black Adam with tremendous gratitude, humility, and love. We did great. To my very passionate and vocal Black Adam superhero genre fans, I love you, thank you, and I will always listen to you and do my best to deliver and entertain you. Blah blah blah, drink my tequila, blah blah blah, happy holidays. Now there are 2 points in there, I'll get to the least important first. You say you have thick skin. That's interesting. Have you fixed things with Vin Diesel yet? Second, and most important, Black Adam will not be in the first chapter of storytelling, but you have agreed to continue exploring the most valuable ways Black Adam can be utilized in future multiverse chapters. So a possible cameo for you at best. If you're lucky, you're on standby but essentially fired, unless they decide to use you in another episode of The Flash. I assume a Crisis on Infinite Earths 2, Electric Boogaloo. Essentially, Dwayne Johnson has been fired. but told there is a chance he could be brought back from time to time. We know that from Zachary Levi, Shazam seems to be Gucci, so there's always a chance Shazam and a third movie could have Black Adam in that if a third Shazam movie happens. Notice how not many people have been speaking about that. Nor the Flash, but virtually every other member of the Justice League, although Shazam's not a member of it yet, I get it, has been fired essentially. That's interesting. Very interesting. And, well, now essentially Black Adam. What a fascinating way to start the video. I will say, just for the sake of it, I do like Dwayne Johnson as an actor. I really do. I find him incredibly entertaining. His interpersonal skills are fantastic, he is passionate about what he does, and I think he's great. But I really do think in a movie or two you need to lose a fight. I heard about that with you and Jason Statham in the 6th or 7th Fast and Furious movie. It cracked me up to no end. Okay. To move on from Dwayne Johnson, we need to talk about a man called Gary Glitter. Now, I have spoken about Gary Glitter on this channel before. Gary Glitter in the 70s was one of the biggest, rock star solo artists around. His songs were selling in the millions. Part of the whole glam rock hair thing scene. He had an appearance, he had catchy tunes. What people didn't know until much later on was how seedy he was. His downfall was originally started when he had someone look at a computer that wasn't working properly. They found lots of child-related content, and he desperately wanted to put the issue behind him. Eventually his downfall was inevitable and quite conclusive. Almost got put in front of a firing squad in Vietnam, serving time there as well for children-related activities, coming back and then getting sentenced to 16 years for offences dating back decades. The United Kingdom have a joke of a criminal justice system where, regardless of your crime apparently, if you do half your time, unless your tariff is set with a certain amount of time set before you are eligible for parole, you only have to do half of it. So for 16 years, he gets 8. At that point, you may as well just give him 4, and then 2, and then 1, and just let him free. Because he's innocent, everyone. He never nonced, even though, by definition, he is definitely a nonce. His noncing has harmed too many people, far too many. They have been scarred and harmed psychologically, physically, irreparably for the rest of their lives by this prick's noncing. Courtesy of the criminal justice system, after being sent to prison in February 2015, he is eligible to be released, and it is likely he will. Now, he had appealed to have his sentence cut short, but that was rejected, thankfully. During the time of Koofness, he had tried then also to have his circumstances changed because he was high risk of catching the Koofness. In the case of Gary Glitter, what makes this interesting is, courtesy of the Ministry of Justice, the nature of his determinate sentence means the case does not go to a parole board, I assume because they can't afford them. It simply means that as soon as his sentence is over, he is free to walk out of the prison gates. The Ministry of Justice later said that sex offenders released from prison are closely monitored by both the police and the probation service, and may be recalled to jail if they breach their strict license conditions. I assume on his part, don't leave the bloody country, we know you want to. At that point, with the limited freedom he will have, he may as well just stay in prison anyway. In fact, I highly recommend he stays there until the day he deceases, because at least then we know he can't nonce anymore. Gary Glitter, aka Paul Gadd, is a man of pure evil. He really is. He tried to sweep under the rug what he had been doing for decades, alongside the likes of Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile. These people, at the time when they were at their peak, were untouchable, because the idea of a celebrity, especially on television, of all things live shows, was new, novel, and a concept many couldn't see there being a better side to or being held accountable for. That is why he got away with it, because his star power was entirely predicated on the success of the music industry and shows like Top of the Pops at a time where they were new. No one had ever heard of them, as opposed to now, where if you're a nonce or you're accused of being a nonce, your life is over, regardless of guilt or innocence. His life should be over. He should stay in prison for at the very least the 16 years he is due to be in there. Considering the severity of the crimes, there should not be a half sentence for people like Paul Gadd. There really shouldn't. He had his chance at freedom twice, and on both occasions, he nonced it up like there was no tomorrow. To avoid people being able to see him go noncing after the first time, he went to Vietnam and people didn't know he was there for years. He actually was, well and truly, underground. Now, it would only be right to leave him in prison until it is a time where he needs to be put in underground. in a box, preferably unmarked, along with an unmarked headstone. Or perhaps if there is a marked headstone, it simply says, urinate here if you must. So to the final subject I'd like to talk about today, we go to the World Cup. If you were paying attention to it, it was, I'll be honest, one of the greatest finals after 65 minutes, that is, I've ever seen. When France finally woke up, the match was competitive and I felt France were actually going to win. Turns out though, Lionel Messi, on his own, doesn't need much assistance. It's like watching a KSI video with AnneOfArk. If you've ever seen the video, he does a one-man team. It's very funny. In the case of Messi, he is arguably one of the greatest of all time. Adding the World Cup is the pinnacle. He's won everything. He can retire from international duty knowing he's done it with a manager who 4 years earlier was managing a kids team in Mallorca, I think. Something that has been trending on Twitter quite a bit concerns the celebrity chef Salt Bae. Rose to fame because of that cobra weird thing he does where the salt dribbles down his arm onto the meat. My issue with this is there's far too much salt. I don't need that. Also, if you're doing that on top of a steak that's covered in gold, you're just bouncing it off the gold. I take issue here. However, the man has built a vast empire. He's worth over 40 million. Apparently his assets are that, and that doesn't include the massive palace he owns, all the restaurants he has, and all the profit he is getting from that. Can't hate a player, especially one that has taken a meme and gone so far with it. I'm very proud of him for that. One thing though, and it is a rule, if you are the champion of something, no one else is allowed to touch it. Same in boxing. Canelo did this with Floyd Mayweather when they were meant to fight each other. When they did, in fact, just before, the WBC made a belt especially for the event. Canelo refused to touch it. Floyd disagreed with this, but actually I agree with Canelo. The reason why is because Canelo was not the WBC champion at the time. No. Mayweather was. Therefore the belt is his to touch and only his. In the case of the World Cup, only one team should hold it. And of course those who are running the event itself, and that would be Argentina, now 3-time winners. The last time they won it was on the year of my birth. So during the celebrations, Salt Bae was on the pitch, and in one of the most awkward exchanges I've ever seen, he approached Lionel Messi, who had initially ghosted him, to then get one of the most awkward photos I've ever seen with him, to then get his hands on the winning trophy. That trophy does not belong in the hands of Salt Bae. No offense intended here, Salt Bae, and I'm calling you that because I can't be asked to learn how to pronounce your name. Okay, Salt Bae, you should not have your hands on it, and the photos you shared to social media of you holding the trophy were very inappropriate. Regardless of you being there with the team and the team clearly liking you. It doesn't matter. As a consequence of this, and this is not a joke, the US Open Cup have decided to ban Salt Bae from their tournament. I like this. It's a nice little novel concept. I didn't know, by the way, that this soccer tournament, which is the oldest and most prestigious in America, existed. I really didn't know. But to be banned from it is interesting, because there's more in fact. You see, FIFA are now investigating how he managed to get onto the pitch, how he gained undue access, and how the trophy ended up in his hands. FIFA have said outright that following a review, FIFA has been establishing how individuals gained undue access to the pitch after the closing ceremony on December the 18th. The appropriate internal action will be taken. I assume based on markup price, they'll ask for a discount on the steak, which you can guarantee he won't give them. Why? Because he needs to mark that shit up to make his money on it. As a final thing with regards to breaking of decorum, Salt Bae, please don't go and touch other trophies you haven't won. It's cool to be one of those people to hold it, and I would honestly love to get my tentacles around Jules Rimet. I really would, and I fully understand that. However, it is not my place to, and it is not yours either. To Argentina, congratulations. We're still not giving you back the Falklands, even after Lionel Messi's son wrote a rather interesting letter to his father, egging him on to win, which includes some derogatory comments towards us. We don't care. We small island folk will stick together. The Federated States of Micronesia are next, and we're taking them forever.